Come to me, my moon knight. The ancient voice boomed in the back of Mark Spector's brain, momentarily throwing him off his game. It wasn't as if hearing someone else's words in his head was something new. He'd been sharing the space with multiple personalities for years now. But this wasn't even the enigmatic Mr. Knight. This was the boss. I'm a bit busy, Spector replied out loud as he thrust his white boot into the face of yet another garishly supervillain. Trying to keep the Zodiac from ransacking one of your temples. You sent me here, remember? So you'll have to call back another time. Now, the voice commanded. A sudden burst of pain coursed through Spector's skull. He closed his eyes for a moment, trying to clear his head. When he opened them again, he was no longer at the heart of the epic battle between good and evil. In fact, he was nowhere. Okay, so nowhere might be a bit dramatic. But it's the best that Spector could come up with to describe the blank white space between the planes of reality that he had unexpectedly been transported to. A deafening silence hung in the void. For once, even the voices in Mark Spector's head had nothing to say. For a moment, he felt as though he was the only being that existed. But he knew better. If he had been summoned here, he was well aware of who had done that summoning. Mark Spector turned to see the enormous figure towering over him. Draped in white Egyptian robes, where his head should have been, instead there sat the skull of a long-beaked bird. Its empty sockets peered at Mark Spector's soul, judging him, always judging him. Hey, Khonshu, Spector replied casually to his patron, the Egyptian god of the moon. Fancy seeing you here. This divine space is where I dwell, Khonshu replied, not seeing any humor in Spector's words. It is from that I watch the realms beyond and find those who have earned my vengeance. Yeah, Spector chimed in, and from here that you sit pretty while I do your dirty work in the real world. This has been our arrangement since your untimely demise years ago, Khonshu reminded Spector. A gruesome fate. You were spared by my intervention alone. Do you wish to alter our arrangement? No, Spector replied, but I would like to finish one mission before you toss me into the next one. Maybe that's just the mercenary in me. I have always admired your dedication to a task, Khonshu said, but more pressing matters have arisen that require your special attention. Something about Khonshu seemed different. He was more confident, more powerful, less scattered than usual. It was almost like all the fragmented personas that the Moon Knight god had presented over the years were suddenly fused into one. Spector didn't know what had caused the change. He thought it must be nice. Fine, Spector replied, beginning to grow impatient. Just tell me whose head I need to bust open already. Spector's unfinished encounter with the Zodiac had pushed his levels of aggression to a boiling point. He didn't want to just stand there and talk anymore. He wanted to get back into the fight. Any fight. What do you know of vampires? Khonshu asked curiously. That they suck, responded Spector with a chuckle. And that Dracula owes me money. As you know, Khonshu said, once again ignoring Spector's attempts to infuse some levity into the situation. I have served as a protector for travelers in the night. Vicariously through me and the other fists of Khonshu before me, Spector mumbled under his breath. But sure, go on. Ever since they first crawled from the darkness ages ago, vampires have imperiled my people and my purpose, Khonshu continued. And now I have a vision that warns of their threat becoming more permanent. I thought, yes, Khonshu said, but bound by their curse to cycle the day and night, they cannot walk into the sun. So their atrocities are limited to the hours under my watch, when the moon hangs high in the sky. So what's the problem? Spector asks. Is daylight savings time about to end or something? No, another voice answered. Daylight itself is about to end.